Okay, so for whatever reason, 20th Century Fox made the gut-wrenching decision of reviving the long-dead franchise of disgusting, vile, singing rats. Why did they bring them back exactly?
I have seriously no idea. We had to watch this movie, and it was genuinely hard to sit through.
You know, usually I love watching and making fun of crappy movies, but this one was so bad that I quite literally had a bad time trying to process what my precious eyes were beholding.
Yeah, the Chipmunks are so freaking disgusting looking. Anyway, this is our review for Alvin and the Chipmunks for 2007 movies and their movies.
It's a good movie, trust us.
It's a bad movie. Ah.
So basically, the movie starts off, I think, in a forest or something, and the chipmunks are like singing or whatever, but then their tree gets cut down.
Then it cuts to Dave, who is having the stereotypical cliche problem of being late for work. He goes to work and shows his weird boss, aka the stereotypical driven by money villain, a song he made, which his...
Okay, get this. The chipmunks happen to be in the Christmas tree that's in the lobby. Wait. Also, this movie is apparently a Christmas movie for some reason.
They find themselves in Dave's totally not stolen muffin basket, and they hitch a ride to Dave's house. Dave throws the muffin basket into the trash can, and then pitches a hissy fit and throws all of his musical instruments out his front door.
They get out of the can, and as with any other crappy family film, they start wreaking havoc. Also, I just want to say this, there are so many cliches in this movie. Literally every scene felt like it was done 1,000 times before. Anywho, something happens and they get kicked out, but don't worry, they start singing, which of course gets Dave interested. They start singing in their trademark, awful, ear-blowing, physically impairing voices.
Dave invites them back into his home, but then he hears them humming in their sleep, which gives him an idea for a song.
Also, this leads to an incredibly awkward scene where he formulates the complex and heavy lyrics, while singing to himself, in his bed, being a grown man.
The Chipmunks sing the song to Dave, and for some reason he likes their singing, even though it personally makes me want to tear my freaking ears out. Dave then has the idea to show his boss the Chipmunks.
So he shows him the Chipmunks, who of course don't sing. So then his boss, or whoever the heck he is, makes fun of him and fires him.
After that, Dave goes to his apparent other job he had in advertising, where he is again screwed over by the Chipmunks. He goes home and contemplates kicking them out of his house. He writes a letter, but then he balls it up and throws it underneath a chair.
Also, there is a side story in the movie that's just a cliche romance story between Dave and some other person that we really don't care that much about. Long story short, the Chipmunks screw him over again.
At some point, the Chipmunks find his letter and they feel bad. Then somehow they find Dave's boss's house. Also, I should probably mention that his boss's name is Ian Hawke. They sing the song to Ian, who somehow likes the song. The next day, Dave and the Chipmunks are in the store. Cue a bad joke and a truckload of product placement. The Chipmunks song starts playing on an intercom thingy.
So then I think they get popular and Ian, or whatever his name is, entices them to come live with them after they get into a fire or something with Dave.
At first, Ian just lets them do whatever they want, but then apparently they have to go on a world tour thingy.
So they do a concert, which only serves to pad out the runtime of this movie.
After several concerts, the Chipmunks start getting tired, but Ian refuses to let them rest, and tries several different ways to make them stay relevant.
Then Dave starts to miss them like you probably have already predicted by now, which makes no sense as they brought him nothing but pain and misfortune. So then Dave decides to get into their latest concert. Oh yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this yet, but Ian apparently wants them to lip sync for some reason.
It's more easier.
Of course, Dave isn't allowed to go into the concert, but the romance interest person from before conveniently shows up and they go into the concert together.
So Chipmunks see Dave and then they start stripping their clothes off and literally strike a pose for the next 1 or 2 scenes. Ian gets the security guys to try to capture the Chipmunks who just started rampaging, which is probably the best thing these little Satan spawns are good at in the entire film.
Ian captures them, but he leaves their cage unguarded, and they escape and make their way to Dave, leaving creepy plush versions of themselves in the cage to trick Ian.
So then Ian pulls a Darth Vader and screams, "No!" This movie sucked, okay?
Reasons this movie sucked! The Chipmunk singing is awful. How did they think that it sounded passable? Their singing sounds like just sped up, higher pitched versions of actual singing voices. Seriously, the singing makes me want to tear my eardrums out. This movie literally has no emotional drive to it. You can tell that it tries, but it just completely fails while trying to do so. The end result just comes out either laughable or cringe-inducing.
The jokes in this movie are abysmal. It often tries way too hard to make all the 3-year-olds in the audience laugh. It usually consists of fart jokes and other lazy things that are probably thought up in no more than 5 minutes. Okay. One of the most notorious jokes in this movie is when, get this, Simon eats theater's poop. Apparently, when you make a movie that only exists solely for a couch, I guess any disgusting joke goes.
This movie goes against the reason it was made. Ian uses the Chipmunks to make money, but Dave is against that. The sole reason this cash grab movie was made was to make money. But does this movie have any redeeming qualities?
Well, besides the movie thankfully being only an hour and a half, pretty much the only thing I can really think of that is positive is that the CGI was pretty okay for its time, I guess. Well, yeah.
So what do we rate this movie, Benny?
2 out of 10. That's pretty bad if you ask me.
Well, that's our review of Alvin and the Chipmunks. We might review the sequels sometime in the future. But for now, this has been Sky-Rover.